Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So, we have to talk about this story because it's a pretty big one that's going to affect the Republican primary for sure. And possibly the next 6 years of the Senate seat being controlled by whoever wins the primary. But when it comes to this, a lot of people are excited from this news. I want to be very cautious when it comes to this because it's not what everyone really thinks. So Wesley Hunt, a MAGA Republican, is joining the Senate race to beat John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. And a lot of sources are saying that this is going to complicate John Cornyn's path to victory. And I just say, you know what? I don't see it that way. And in fact, I think it's going to complicate Ken Paxton's path to victory. And a lot of eyebrows are probably being risen, and I understand that. I'm someone that wants to see Ken Paxton win, not John Cornyn. John Cornyn is a rhino. But I'm just thinking, like, okay, John Cornyn has the upper hand of being incumbent, number one. It's much easier to win an incumbent election when it comes to a primary than a general election as an incumbent, okay? It's much easier to win due to the incumbency with a primary than a election. And as a result, that has to be added to John Cornyn's chances. He is, of course, the incumbent. And he, of course, is going to see gains in a lot of the suburban areas where a lot of those rhinos tend to be. But I want to go ahead and talk about Wesley Hunt and the impact that he has in this race. So let's jump to the election real quickly, the 2024 United States Senate election. So this is going to be quite interesting because we have to talk about that because Cornyn, this has been a very highly watched race, mainly because of the primary. Oh, never mind. This is the 2024 race. We want 2006 race. Texas, that race specifically. We look and we see, yeah, it's neck and neck. Wesley Hunt's getting 15%, but notice John Cornyn is leading Paxton now. Compared to originally he was in 28-38, okay? Now, originally, this poll from Status Intelligence suggests that, Wesley Hunt joining the race could significantly hurt Cornyn. So, but a lot of people will often forget that ideological balance plays a huge role. You already look at the race, it's already a very tight race. I predict Cornyn will win, no offense, mainly because he's the incumbent. This race is too close to go and comfortably say that Paxton's going to win. And what I think is what differs me from Real American and Red Eagle is that I do the county projections. I do a county simulation. Because county simulations will tell us, okay, this is what's going to happen inside the state. What's going on? You can't just trust the poll. Okay, what does the poll match the county what's happening inside, the X-ray inside the state? And some things tell me that, Cornyn's going to do especially well in Austin. He's going to do well in Dallas. He's going to do well in Houston. He's going to do well in El Paso. He's going to do well in San Antonio. Not only that, but he's going to do well in other areas surrounding that. That has to be played. Now, obviously, does this mean he will win? Not necessarily, because there are a lot of votes outstanding in the rural areas of Texas. But now Wesley Hunt joining makes it hard because now Ken Paxton has to fight for those rural votes because Ken Paxton and Wesley Hunt are both liked. They're both admired by the MAGA base. So you got infighting in the MAGA base while the establishment incumbent could just sweep and take over. So this is why I'm not excited at all about Wesley Hunt joining this race. We should have just rallied with Ken Paxton. But now you got Wesley Hunt. And I don't buy the New York Times, it's going to complicate John Cornyn's path to victory. No, in fact, it's going to make it easier because the establishment Republicans just have one guy to choose. It's their John Cornyn. Ken Paxton's too MAGA for them. Wesley Hunt's too MAGA for them. And MAGA will be split ticketing. They will be infighting. Now, I get John Cornyn on paper is unpopular, but you can't trust the poll that says he's unpopular. Because guess what? What's his name? Jason Mieres has a 23% approval rating. 23% of the last time I checked. And he's winning against Jay Jones due to this scandal. So you can't necessarily put that into approval rating content. And I'm just really coming out with this bold prediction, I know, mostly because out of the concern that, you have, of course, you have the map, okay? The map does not look good for Paxton and MAGA. It does not. So we're going to go ahead and take a look here. Paxton. We got Wesley. We'll do Wesley in purple. But it's going to depend, because Wesley Hunt's going to do especially well in his area, where he represents in Congress, okay? He's going to win those areas. So let's go ahead and look at Wesley Hunt and get under which district he comes from. I sound very nerdy and an irrelevant source when I don't know what district he comes from, but it does help. But yeah, he comes from Houston, okay? That helps him to, maybe to a point. I would expect him to do especially well in areas around Houston. He can hurt, I suppose. He can take votes away from Cornyn, especially in the Houston area. But Cornyn could do well here, or here, or here, or here. Okay? And we can even take a look at a previous primary to see how that primary turned out. Let's take a look at the Texas elections. We gotta do Google, because this thing doesn't say relevant Texas elections. Wikipedia. So yeah, you have a lot, but I want to do the judicial because this says a lot, okay? And there's specifically the primaries. Yes, here we go. Yeah, I mean, areas in red. There are not many, but Mr. Devine ended up winning. John Devine. He was the incumbent and he managed to pull this off. A major underperformance, though, against Christine Weems, which I do think possibly would be the indicator here. But what did he carry to help him win? The Houston area, right? You got major areas around here. Yeah, sure, he lost so that's why I do think that maybe Wesley will hurt Cornyn in this area. But in other areas, like, for instance, San Antonio, you could assume that Cornyn does well there. I think the South, Paxton will probably sweep the South here. I do think Wesley Hunt will probably do well over here. Not sure about Galveston. We probably win those areas. Yeah. He's probably going to do well pretty much over here, the Houston area. Well, it does depend also. I don't want to make a bold prediction to say that, Wesley is just going to perform over. It's mainly in the areas that is impactful to Houston. Probably over here. Paxton will probably do well over here. And who knows, my prediction might change by the time of this video. It really does depend on how the map looks. But I'm just saying, Cornyn will probably do good in areas that are specifically in his, like, the Dallas area and areas around that area. Okay. You also have some cities up there. You have this area up here. I do think we'll go to Cornyn. Paxton will probably pick up these areas, these counties. So I guess Paxton does have a shot. I never said he doesn't have a shot. But I just want to make it very clear that Cornyn is the incumbent, and it's very possible he can pull this off in the long run. There are college cities, some more populated cities up here. We'll go ahead and call this one for Cornyn. You got these two up here. These are college communities. And then again, he's trying to get all close to Trump. And New York Times, they paint him to be some sort of MAGA guy. And I think we can agree that John Cornyn's not a MAGA guy. No matter how much you want to make him look that out to be, he's not a MAGA guy. But you got these areas. So maybe it does look like that Ken Paxton could pull it off. But I'm just saying, to say that, oh, Wesley Hunt's going to make this very good for Paxton is just silly. It's not. In fact, it might make it even more closer. Because we don't know if Wesley's going to gain momentum, like over here or over here. And then the votes that were supposed to go to Paxton are infighting with each other. And then Cornyn, all the Cornyn supporters are united. Believe it or not, it sounds crazy. No Cornyn supporters are going for Wesley Hunt. No Cornyn supporters are going for Ken Paxton. So we can stop with that. It's not that's very irrelevant and not really going to happen. But as you can clearly see, I'm adding areas that are significantly more liberal, assumingly, to the Cornyn pile. And you'll see he's making grounds with the Austin, San Antonio area. Mainly, I'm assuming because, of course, these areas are going to be less conservative. Got two major cities here. Yeah, suburbs over here. It's going to make a difference. Go ahead and call these areas too. We feel comfortable calling that. Maybe not the northern side, though. We can go, I think we can call this one. It's too liberal. Go ahead. But these areas will probably be carried by Hunt. This is probably where his basin of his support is going to be. And if you want Hunt to win, if you're on Team Wesley, his best case is going to be sweeping this side of Texas, the heart of Texas, going this way and going west. You want to probably push the Paxton voters down to the Panhandle and down into the south. and hope the North is enough to help you win. That's if you want Paxton to win. I mean, if you want Wesley Hunt to win. But you do have this here. We'll go ahead and add this. I think it's somewhat suburban. But yeah, I think we have a map of what things could look like. It's still not the best map. It looks kind of ugly. Or, I don't want to say start over. But I feel comfortable with Wesley Hunt. I think that's specifically what it's kind of looking out to be like. But let's actually take a look at how John Cornyn performed in the primary 4 years ago. That will kind of help us. Federal. Okay, you got the primaries here. Yeah, he does very well in this area, guys. Dallas. Okay? Very well here. So my adaptation would probably be Paxton probably picks up these. Okay. And you get a map looking like this in the Houston area. Okay. Not the Houston, but the Austin, San Antonio area. So that's kind of what my thought process is. And you could also say that El Paso maybe goes to Paxton. Not really. It's getting more conservative. It's not like a Dallas or something like that. But you could possibly put that into perspective. We gave that southern area to Cornyn. I would say this county goes to Cornyn also. Yeah. Go ahead. Add these. But yeah, I'm up in the north. You might get some Cornyn votes to that corner. But I think this is our map. You might see something here. It's hard to predict primary maps because they're not always right. Ideological maps, they're easier, but they can be pretty difficult to predict a lot of the time. But yes, I think this is your map for the primary. And whether you want to interpret this as a Cornyn victory or a Paxton victory, it is I would say neither. Way too close. Paxton does have the ground he needs. It's about turnout, though. It's about the percentage of each county. And how many votes is Wesley Hunt taking in from Houston? Stuff like that plays a huge role. But I would say he has a lot to go through, though. But I'll say it looks like this as of right now for Cornyn, for Paxton. Or it looks like this. But yeah, this is my prediction map as of right now. What it's really up to you if you want to interpret this. But this is like I would say a warning. It's like a panic button sort of thing. No, this is, I just want to really correct the lies. That, no, yeah, Wesley Hunt's going to give Ken Paxton the victory. It's going to hurt John Cornyn. No. He, after all, is a huge Trump supporter and ally. I don't think that's going to work. So anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below, and as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.